Encounters in set 14 are more impactful than ever. There are a total of 21 different starting encounters, and while some of them just grant you a bit of bonus loot, others drastically change the game rules. These are the ones I want to talk about today. But before we get started, did you know that working out with set makes you bigger?
God, please no!
While this encounter sadly is missing, make sure you don't miss out on any future content by subscribing to this channel. Thank you so much for your support. Now let's see what you can do with encounters in set 14. The Azir Soldier grants each player a lucky shop once per stage. This one used to be called Red Town in set 9.5, which was, quite frankly, much more fitting. The way it works is that it takes the traits on your left side and tries to match them with your next shop. Unfortunately, you can't just run a single Zeg and outplay the system, because the game rolls your shop odds first and then tries to match the tiers to the traits. If it's impossible to match a shop window, then the outcome simply defaults to random. Technically, you can run a single unit in stage 2 until you get the lucky shop and then try to force the game into giving you additional copies, but this strategy is not as good as it sounds. While a unit like Graves doesn't have any competing units in tier 2, back in set 9 there was a rule that you need to have at least 3 traits active, otherwise your shop is not fully tailored. But what happens if your shop was locked? The good news, you won't lose your lucky shop. You simply get a free reroll, and once you press it, the animation appears and you're not missing out on anything. Though this does open up a new question. If the lucky shop is saved up, can you manipulate the board in your favor? Sadly, there is no dodging the orb for this one. Changing your board to limit the possible traits and then pressing reroll doesn't do anything. The lucky shops are based on the units from the previous fight. Even if you try to be cheeky and sell your board with the intent of rerolling in the following round, this doesn't work either. The bonus reroll will be gone and you miss out on your lucky shop. As a final tip, the lucky shops can appear in stage 3-1 and 4-1, so you might want to change up your board in the PvE round and set yourself up in advance by removing useless traits. Next, we have the Hacked Egg encounter. This one makes you choose at the start of stage 4 between a 4-turn, 9-turn or 13-turn egg. Compared to the Golden Egg, these work a bit differently because they hatch faster when you're losing. As a short overview, the 4-turn egg has a value of around 15 to 17 gold, and you can use this cash out to secure a better placement. The 9-turn egg is arguably the most important one for multiple reasons. It's a fairly common choice, as it has a chance to contain a radiant item, an artifact, or a very respectable 30% chance for a spatula or frying pan with 2 components. Since the odds for a spatula are so high, it can be a good idea to prioritize augments based on vertical traits like Anima Squad, Street Demons or Syndicate, and speculate on the egg granting you the second emblem as your win condition. The 9-turn egg can also appear outside of the starting encounter as an outcome from a green orb in stage 3-7. This egg works exactly the same as it pulls from the same loot table. Finally, the 13-turn egg is the most powerful and also most difficult to hatch. You still have a 15% chance for a spatula or frying pan with 3 component anvils, but you can also end up with 2 artifact anvils or even a tactician's crown. A very useful tip for this encounter is to scout the opponents that are about to hatch the same egg as yours. To make things a bit more fair, every player with the same egg receives the same cash out. If you spectate an opponent collecting the loot orbs, you know exactly what to expect from your own egg and can use this information to plan ahead. Maybe you set aside a cloak for a potential syndicate emblem, but once you know that the egg doesn't contain a spatula, there's no reason to hold back the item anymore. Something I didn't expect was for the Azir Shuffle and bonus augment encounter to become my personal favorites. This is mainly because these 2 encounters change the game rules to such an extent that I have the feeling they will get fixed in the future. To understand why they're so impactful, we have to take a look at the base augment rules first. In stage 2-1, your augment selection will always be random, no matter which units are on your board. In set 14, this is also the only time you can find a crest or a crown augment. In stage 3 and 4, you can find augments specific to the traits you're running. For example, if you have Vanguard active, then you have a chance for the reactive shell augment to appear. In case case the augment selection for the later stages is prismatic, you also have the chance to see a circlet. These are considered weaker versions of crown augments, especially if they're part of the chase traits like Anima Squad, Street Demons and Exotech. At least at the making of this video, every augment after stage 2-1 can be tailored, and this includes any augment between stage 2-2 and 2-6. This is where the Azir Shuffle and bonus augment encounter come into play. In stage 2, you still have the rule set that crest and crowns can appear, but now you have a much higher chance to find what you're looking for because the augment pool in stage 2 is severely limited. In this example, I open with the augment cooking pot and roll a bit for syndicate units to make sure that the syndicate trait is active in stage 2-5. I get rewarded with the syndicate crown, making my cooking pot much more effective, and I open the door to reach 7 syndicate once I find a reforger. One of my favorite examples is definitely to play around target dummies. Stage 2 has exclusive augments like Scapegoat or Gold for Dummies, and if you open with them, you can play syndicate and aim for the augment dummy with a gun to set yourself up with an amazing backline. I don't know how long stage 2 augments are allowed to bypass the rules like this, because there are certainly some very disgusting combos running around that will straight up win you the game. I wouldn't be surprised to see this get changed in the near future, so you might want to hurry up if you want to chase a game plan that requires multiple stage 2 augments. Since I already covered the topic of augment tailoring, this is a good time to talk about the Treasure Armory. The Aurelian Soul encounter replaces the stage 4 PvE stage with an armory that offers you different types of loot. The chance to receive a spatula or frying pan is surprisingly high if you're willing to spend a bit of gold, so if you see Aurelian as your starting encounter, you might want to consider aiming for chase traits from the very start. What's interesting about the armory is that you also receive a 4th augment, but it can only be silver or gold. Sadly, you can't roll for the Recombobulator since it's not allowed in stage 4 anymore, but there are still some other options worth going for. You might remember my short about Mordekaiser with the Vanguard emblem, together with either Chassis or the Capacitor augment. While this combo is a lot of fun, getting a Vanguard emblem and Capacitor in the same game can be surprisingly difficult. The Dragon Armory can help with this problem because you can roll for trait augments that are viable in stage 4. If you have techies active, you can find Capacitor, and with Exotech, you can find Cyberdeck. Truth to be told, there are not that many traits that have augments worth spending gold for, but if there is a specific combo you're chasing, the Dragon Armory might be your best shot at collecting all the pieces. Finally, let's talk about Crab Rave, an encounter that still strikes fear into the hearts of many players. This encounter only has a 2.5% chance to appear, but it's still a good idea to have a plan in your back pocket to survive in the late game. As a short reminder, in stage 5-7 and 6-7, you are face to face with the monster crab. It has over 20,000 HP, 200 armor and 200 magic resist. Every few seconds, all units on your board take increasingly higher damage, turning this PvE round into a DPS race. The scariest part about Crab Rave is that you can have a perfectly fine board against other players, but you have a bad matchup to deal with the monster crab. Since it occurs so late into the game, it's not uncommon to see multiple players get taken out. Lucky for you, there is an incredibly easy way to deal with the monster crab in set 14, at least if you're playing a comp based on physical damage. While Samira has fallen off quite a bit, she is the perfect choice to deal with this encounter. Even without a single trait, she fires 20 bullets over 2 seconds, split between enemies, with each bullet reducing the armor by 3. Since there's only one enemy, a single Samira ult reduces the enemy armor by 60. You want to try to collect 2 Samiras on your way to stage 5-7 and then replace 2 of your weaker units. You don't have to give them any items, you just want each Samira to ult once and reduce the armor by a large amount. This should help the rest of your team to rush down the crab. If you have the Marksman emblem, your life becomes even easier, since Graves, Misfortune, Urgot, Renekton and Samira can all heavily decrease the armor of the monster crab. If you're playing Misfortune carry, make sure to position her in the front and not in the back to ensure that every single bullet hits the crab and you don't lose out on a lot of potential damage. Exotech also has it quite easy with the Flex Capacitor, which not only reduces armor by a flat amount, but also deals 15% of max health every 4 attacks, which can be almost half of your total damage in the right setup. This is more or less everything I wanted to share about these encounters. What is your favorite way to deal with Crab Rave? Let me know in the comments. Now if you excuse me, but I promised that we'd be working out together. I hope you learned something and see you next time.